Hi, this is Miss Matthews, and I am attempting to set this video for flipping the classroom for our first video. So, thanks for those who were in the classroom on Wednesday watching the intro. The others will get a chance to watch it on this next section. Flipping the classroom is a very different new technique that was first published by a couple universities such as New York University. It allows the traditional classroom to go away while new techniques and methodologies come into play. Allows us to be on video like we are. You can watch this in your own convenience in your homes. Takes away from having to try to write everything down that was on the board or missing something your teacher or professor has said. And having maybe feeling like you don't want to be raising your hand and saying, I didn't get that, or what was said, because you can rewind this video as many times as you want from your home on a laptop, smartphone, or desktop, even in the library, if they allow you to put the earphones on and listen. So there's many other ways to learn and to be able to enjoy your learning process and then getting your education. So we're going to take our next units, Unit 4, Chapter 4 for English 1 and English 2 Essentials, and we're going to flip the classroom. And I will appreciate and welcome any of your suggestions so that we can make this interactive, integrating, engaging, and empowerment to myself and to you as well. So I have a writing lab or new project instruction for writing instruction manual that I think will be very not only motivating for you because you're going to write it based on your own concentrations or your career path you've chosen. We'll get into that towards the end. I intend to sometimes make these videos where we'll stop and pause, maybe have you go do some research, go to your book. I may have you go do some research on Google Scholar, write down some things, and then come back and continue the video where I know what I'm looking for or I know what your feed might be, and then we continue on the video. And again, lectures only can happen one time, but in flipping the classroom, you can see this video and any other videos multiple times. All right, English 1, your next section or your chapter, Unit 4, Chapter 4, is on pronouns. And pronouns are those nouns or those words that can take the place of proper and common nouns. Okay, so when we talk about pronouns, we realize that there are a lot of different pronouns, his and her, they, their, she, you, he, it, we, him, us, mine, yours, ours, theirs. Okay, a pronoun helps us avoid repeating the nouns in a sentence. For example, Jeremy and his friend Malcolm interviewed their former employer to gather information for their report on careers in retailing. Now, where we see Jeremy, Malcolm, that is where we see his is there. There's a pronoun. There is there. There's a pronoun. Had we not used the pronouns, it would read something like this. And this is on page 41 of your book. Jeremy and Jeremy's friend, Malcolm interviewed Jeremy and Malcolm's former employer to gather information for Jeremy and Malcolm's report on careers in retailing. So Jeremy and Jeremy's friend, we can say Jeremy and his friend. Malcolm interviewed Jeremy and Malcolm's former employer. We can say their former employer. Okay, so we can see the difference, and it shortens a sentence or a paragraph when we put in those pronouns or replace common and proper nouns with pronouns. We also want you to focus on doing your checkups 1 through 4. Make sure you do those. Then exercise 1 and 2. And then you're going to get into pronouns and their cases, nominative, objective, and possessive. Like to just make sure I go over the scope and objectives and content. Again, I told you content is the pronouns. And the scope is going to cover everything we can about pronouns as they relate to common and proper nouns. But we're also going to be able to, when we're done with this chapter, and this is also in the beginning of your chapter, identify pronouns and their antecedents, understand when to use those pronouns, masculine, feminine, or neuter, understand the three cases, nominative, objective, and possessive, understand how to choose the correct form of a pronoun in a sentence, clarify the difference between who and whom and which and that, in interrogative and definite pronouns correctly as well. And have some fun writing where we will substitute pronouns for common and proper nouns. What I'd like you to do is to write a paragraph, whether it's about yourself or an experience you had this week with someone else, so you have another proper person's name in it, like the sentence we just read on page 41. I want you to write it in common and proper nouns first, and then I want you to change the writing and make it proper and common front to pronoun use, and see the difference, number of words used, and just be able to be creative. There are more pronouns than what you see on page 41. You can go into Google search and pull up some different documents from different places, different universities, institutions, educational institutions, at the 5minuteenglish.com, which helps you to know how to set up sentences, how to use grammatical correct grammar and usage, capitalization usage. So you can do the same thing by typing in pronouns and be creative and pull tools that assist you. Okay, and so then we'll look at exercise 1 and 2. You can go ahead and go forward to pronouns and their cases. This means lesson 10. You can go into exercise 1 and 2. Now you're gonna have to do all of those. Exercise 1, maybe first 15 in lesson 10, and exercise 2, there's 40 of those, maybe 20 of your choice, exercise 2. Just make sure you number it so that I know which one you're doing and we can compare and see how well you did. Okay, that's not going to be the end of the unit or the chapter though. There's going to be selecting the right case. That's in here as well. We just talked about the who, whom, and there's that. So we can look at these different ways we use pronouns, okay? We'll get more into it as we get back into the classroom. Now I'm going to go over to English 2, Unit 4, Chapter 4, which is clauses, okay? Clauses for Unit 2. We know that clauses or short phrases, and clauses are a group of related words that does not contain a subject and a verb. Now, clauses can be main clauses, independent, or dependent clauses, subordinate. They can be joined by conjunctions like those fanboys, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. And when we do that, we are able to broaden the meaning of a phrase or a group of words. Understand too that clauses, independent clauses, can be conjoined with one another. Independent clauses are joined with one another. You have to have equal rank. You cannot do a conjunction of an independent and a dependent clause because they have to have equal rank. Okay, so let's look at your book, page 97, which tells us what I just spoke about a clause, but also let's read that in the shaded box at the top of the page. It reads, Enid Johnson's son suffers from a genetic disorder that makes it hard for him to learn. The 8th grader who attends school in McDowell County struggles with school and has been held back once already. Okay, as you may have noticed, the two clauses begin with the words that and who. Okay, the first clause, that makes it hard for him to learn, describes a genetic disorder. And the second clause, who attends school in McDowell County, describes the 8th grader. Such phrases as you will learn in this chapter add clarity and variety to a sentence. Okay, now If you look at towards the bottom, you're learning that we can join some phrases or group of words with those conjunction, those fanboys, as they have and, but, or, nor, or connecting words. They connect words or groups of words. The two main word groups that conjunctions connect are phrases and clauses. Remember that a phrase is a group of related words that does not contain a subject and a verb. At the man's house is a phrase, a prepositional phrase. If we go to the bottom of that page, we see another phrase. Until the checkered flag was waved is a clause. So one is a phrase, one is a clause. The subject is flag and the verb is was waved. The difference is in this particular one, we can see that there is a subject and a verb. Okay, so phrases and clauses can be quite similar. The main difference is that a clause can contain that subject and verb, whereas a phrase does not contain a subject and verb. Okay. Well, you're going to go through the book and read a little bit more about independent main clauses, that chapter, independent clauses, and I'd like you to do practice sentence 4-1 and 4-2, my English 2 students. And then there's some more subordinate conjunctions on page 101 and some examples for you. There's several examples, okay, as you build more dependent subordinate clauses also on page 102. If you'd like to go ahead and do practice 4-2 and delve a little bit into 4-3, that would be great. So when you come back to the classroom, you're ahead. What we're going to be able to do in the classroom, with flipping the classroom, is you have already completed this because you've watched this over the weekend. You'll have to wait till you get there on on Wednesday, unit 4, and I just start the lecture from the very beginning. You've already watched that part. So when we get in the classroom, you come with your questions or you highlight what parts of the chapter that you would like more clarity, or things that, as you did the exercises, came across for you that you like to get a little bit more understanding. Which means that when we're in the classroom, we can have a discussion, a short discussion, and it gives me the opportunity to come around to each and every person and talk about what came up for you in the practice and the exercises. And then that gives more time for you to continue to do the other parts of the assignment for the day, for the session. Now, English 2, as I told English 1 to take and write a paragraph using common and proper nouns, and then also write a paragraph where they take those common and proper nouns out and replace them with pronouns. What I'd like you to do is I would like you to give me at least 5 phrases, which means that doesn't have a subject or a verb, and give me 5 clauses, which do have subject and verb. And then I'd like you to give me 5 sentences where you've shown or demonstrated that you've put 2 clauses together by fanboys or by coordinating conjunctions, which means that you understand that 2 independent clauses of equal rank can be put together as 2 dependent clauses can, and their examples are there on page 99 and 100, okay? And then we will be building into the chapter and unit where you'll be going over adjective and adverb clauses and noun clauses. And that will take you to about the very end of the chapter, okay? So we'll get to those last 3 in the session. If you want to continue to read the chapter or make yourself familiarize yourself with those last 3 types of clauses, please do so. Make your notes, English 1 and English 2 students. And this is how we can be able to use the time in the classroom more wisely. What I like to do too, as I had said in the last session, there was a quiz on chapters 1 through 3. And for those who missed that, you'll have to, spend some time, of course, making up that quiz or that test. But I had said that I'm going to allow you to have time to research when we get in the new session Wednesday, because I want you to have time to research this ideal or this new project of being able to write an instruction manual. We did explore some instruction manuals on this past session. You're going to pull up information, research, and the ones who were there have probably got a head start because I told you to start researching instruction manuals based on your profession or your major and your concentration. So anybody in small business or business management, you have been looking at manuals or any information out there on how to start a small business or any kind of guides on what is the best successful tips on starting a new business. What are some of the prerequisites? What are some of the best um, steps to take to make you successful in a 5-year plan business or forecasting for 5 years? What do you need to do to be successful so that business doesn't fold, or um, you got everything in place that you need? A person in medical assistance or medical coding, you might want to tell us how to code or decode billing. What are we looking for in a particular type of billing, what the codes mean? A medical assistant might want to talk to us about the daily routines or tasks of a medical assistant in that environment, whether it be a facility, nursing home, hospital, private organization. Okay, a person in private investigations, you might want to talk to us about what are good investigative techniques, or what are you looking for in a specific type of investigation. What are some of the characteristics of a good investigator? What is the routine of an investigator once that investigator has been assigned some investigation? What are some of the tips or the steps? Someone in forensics, criminal justice, you might take the forensics portion, and you might tell us what you need to do as soon as you arrive at a crime scene, or you might decide to talk to us about some other part of criminal justice where you're building an instruction manual on that part, because I don't think we have time for you to build a full instruction manual. Instruction manuals are synonymous with employer guides and policies and procedures, because there's always guides about how to train on the internet system in an organization or entity, how to use the internet system, how to use the computers, how to edit your time if you are allowed to do any inputting in data. There's always policies for the organization. They have to be updated, procedures and everything that has to be done from the office administration to the IT side to network systems to the daily tasks and duties of that organization, or services that an organization provides. So this helps you as you put through this for your concentration on your career to be able to know how to do it when you get in the real world application. And it prepares you to be a step ahead of the game. So, as you step into your entry level or your new start in your career, you'll always be able to tell your upline, your manager, your directors, I already know how to do this, or I already knew that. They can select you to be able to write that manual, write that policy, or update those procedures where you already have the expertise of the ability to be a professional or to be a supervisory role, and or training and leadership. So you can train others, because if you wrote it, you definitely can expound on it and espouse on it, and help other people to learn it. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say today in this first session of Flipping the Classroom. I'd like and invite your thoughts, your suggestions, and any tips that you think. And we're going to get more creative. Like I said, I'll stop and pause and say, okay, go do something on your computer, in your book, and then once you did that, then I'll have another piece, and then we will continue. Hope that you enjoyed this first Flip in the Classroom. I told you that the link will be embedded in the Engrade, where the lesson plan is there for you to access. Everybody would have had to set their Engrade login up so that you can get to this link. And if you have not, I will also publish it in email. I'll make sure I call everyone. And I'm saying this now, and you see it on the video. And again, look forward and then copy and paste it into your browser or type it into the browser. And I look forward to seeing you. Hope everyone has had a great, great week and the rest of the week and weekend. This is our first Flip in the Classroom, and I know it's going to be successful. Another thing you can do for me is write down what you thought of this video thus far, and again, your suggestions. That's what we call CATS, or classroom assessment techniques. And since we're flipping the classroom, we can call it culture assessment techniques and systems, because our classroom is a culture of us as a people doing what is best for all of us to be successful. Thank you so much.